Evander spoke. Best of the Greeks, to whom, by fate's command, I bear these peaceful branches in my hand. Undaunted I approach you, though I know your birth is Grecian, and your land my foe. From Atreus thou your ancient lineage came, and boast the brother kings your kindred claim. Yet myself conscious worth your high renown, your virtue through neither neighbouring nations blown. Our fathers' mingled blood, Apollo's voice, have led me hither, less my need than choice. Our founder Dardanus, as fame has sung, and Greeks acknowledge from Electra sprung. Electra from the loins of Atlas came, Atlas whose head sustains the starry frame. Your sire is Mercury, who long before on cold Cyllenius' top fair Maia bore. Maia the fair, on fame if we rely, was Atlas' daughter, who sustains the sky. Thus from one common source our streams divide. Ours is the Trojan, yours the Arcadian side. Raised by these hopes, I sent no news before, nor asked your leave, nor did your faith implore. But come, without a pledge, my own ambassador, the same Rutulians who with arms pursue the Trojan race are equal foes to you. Our host expell'd, what farther force can stay the victor's troops from universal sway? Then will they stretch their power athwart the land, and either sea from side to side command. Receive our offered faith, and give us thine. Ours is a generous and experienced line. We want no hearts nor bodies for the war. In council cautious, and in fields we dare. He said, and while spoke with piercing eyes, Evander view'd the man with vast surprise. Pleas'd with his action, ravish'd with his face, then answer'd briefly with a royal grace. O valiant leader of the Trojan line, in whom the features of thy father shine! How I recall Anchises, how I see his motions, mien, and all my friend in thee! Long though it be, it's fresh within my mind, when Priam to his sister's court design'd a welcome visit with a friendly stay, and through the Arcadian kingdom took his way. And then past a boy the colour down began to shade my chin, and call me first a man. I saw the shining train with vast delight, and Priam's goodly person pleased my sight. But great Anchises, far above the rest, with awful wonder fired my youthful breast. I longed to join in friendship's holy bands, our mutual hearts, and plight our mutual hands. I first accosted him, I sued, I sought, and with a loving force to Phaeneus brought. He gave me, when at length constrained to go, a Lycian quiver and a Gnossian bow, a vest embroidered, glorious to behold, and two rich bridles with their bits of gold, which my son's horses in obedience hold. The league you ask I offer as your right, and when tomorrow's sun reveals the light, with swift supplies you shall be sent away. Now celebrate with us this solemn day, whose holy rites admit no long delay. Honour our annual feast, and take your seat, with friendly welcome at a homely treat. Thus having said, the bowls remov'd for fear, the youths replaced, and soon restor'd the cheer. On sods of turf he set the soldiers round, a maple throne raised higher from the ground receiv'd the Trojan chief, and o'er the bed a lion's shaggy hide for ornament they spread. The loaves were served in canisters, the wine in bowls. The priest renew'd the rites divine. Broiled entrails are their blood, and beef's continued shine. But when the rage of hunger was repressed, thus spoke Evander to his royal guest: "These rites, these altars, and this feast, O king, From no vain fears of superstition spring, or blind devotion, or from blinder chance, or heeded zeal, or brutal ignorance, but saved from danger with a grateful sense, the labours of a god we recompense. See from afar yon rock that mates the sky, about whose feet such heaps of rubbish lie, such indigested ruin, bleak and bare, how desert now it stands exposed in air. It was once a robber's den, enclosed around with living stone, and deep beneath the ground the monster carcass, more than half a beast, this hold impervious to the sun possessed. The pavement ever foul with human gore, heads and their mangled members hung the door. Vulcan this plague begot, and like his sire, black clouds he belched and flakes of livid fire. Time long expected eased us of our load, and brought the needful presence of a god. The avenging force of Hercules from Spain arrived in triumph from Gaelon slain. Thrice livid the giant, and thrice livid in vain, his prize the lowing herds Alcides drew, near Tiber's bank to graze the shady grove. Allured with hope of plunder and intent, by force to rob, by fraud to circumvent, the brutal carcass, as by chance they strayed, for oxen thence and for fair kine conveyed. And lest the printed footsteps might be seen, he dragged them backwards to his rocky den. The tracks averse a lying notice gave, and led the searcher backward from the cave. Meantime the herdsman hero shifts his place, to find fresh pasture and untrodden grass. The beasts who missed their mates filled all around with bellowing, and the rocks restored the sound. One heifer who had heard her love complain, roared from the cave and made the project vain. Alcides found the fraud, with rage he shook, and tossed about his head his knotted oak. Swift as the winds or Scythian arrows' flight, he clomb with eager haste the aerial height. Then first we saw the monster mend his pace, fear his eyes, and paleness in his face. Confess'd the god's approach, trembling he springs, as terror had increased his feet with wings. Nor stay'd for stairs, but down the depth he threw his body on his back, the door he drew. The door, a rib of living rock with panes, his father hew'd it out, and bound it with iron chains. He broke the heavy links the mountains closed, and bars and levers to his foe opposed. The wretch had hardly made his dungeons fast, the fierce avenger came with bounding haste, survey'd the mouth of the forbidden hole, and here and there his raging eyes he rolled. He gnash'd his teeth, and thrice he compass'd round with winged speed the circuit of the ground. Thrice at the cavern's mouth he pull'd in vain, and panting thrice desisted from his pain. A pointed flinted rock, all bare and black, grew gibbons from behind the mountain's back. Owls, ravens, all ill omens of the night, here built their nests, and hither wing'd their flight. The leaning head hung, threat'ning o'er the flood, and nodded to the left the hero stood, adverse with planted feet, and from the right tugged at the solid stone with all his might. Thus heav'd the fix'd foundation of the rock, gave way, heav'n echoed at the rattling shock. Tumbling it choked the flood on either side, the banks leap backward, and the streams divide. The sky shrunk upward with unusual dread, and trembling Tiber divides beneath his bed. The court of Cacus stands revealed to sight, the cavern glares with new admitted light. So the pent vapours with rumbling sound heave from below, and rend the hollow ground. A sounding flaw succeeds, and from on high the gods with hate beheld the nether sky. The ghosts repine at violated night, and curse th' invading sun, and sicken at the sight. The graceless monster caught in open day, enclosed and in despair to fly away, howls horrible from underneath and fills his hollow palace with unmanly yells. The hero stands above and from afar plies him with darts and stones and distant war. He from his nostrils huge mouth expires, black clouds of smoke amidst his father's fires, gathering with each repeated blast the night, to make uncertain aim and erring sight. The wrathful god then plunges from above, and where in thickest waves the sparkles throw their lights, and wades through fumes and gropes his way, half singed, half stifled, till he grasps his prey. The monster spewing fruitless flames he found, he squeezed his throat, he writhed his neck around, and in a knot his crippled members bound. Then from their sockets tore his burning eyes, rolled on a heap the breathless robber lies. The doors unbarred receive the rushing day, and thorough lights disclose the ravished prey. The bulls redeemed breathe open air again, next by the feet they drag him from his den. The wondering neighborhood with glad surprise behold his shagged breast, his giant size, his mouth that flames no more, and his extinguished eyes. From that auspicious day with rites divine we worship at the hero's holy shrine. For Tityus first ordained these annual vows, as priests we added the Pinarian house, who raised this altar in the sacred shade, where honors ever due forever shall be paid. For these deserts and this high virtue shown, we warlike youth your heads with garlands crown. Fill high the goblets with a sparkling flood, and with deep draughts invoke our common god. This said, a double wreath a thunder twined, and poplars black and white his temples bind. Then brims his ample bowl with like design. The rest invoke the gods with sprinkled wine. Meantime the sun descended from the skies, and the bright evening star began to rise. And now the priests, for Tityus at their head, in skins of beasts involved the long procession led, held high the flaming tapers in their hands, as custom had prescribed their holy bands. Then with the second course the tables load, and with full chargers offered to the god. The Sali sing, and cense his altars round, with saban smoke their heads with poplar bound. One choir of old, another of the young, to dance and bear the burden of the sun. The lay records the labours and the praise, and all the immortal acts of Hercules. First how the mighty babe, when swathed in bands, the serpent strangled with his infant hands. Then as in years and matchless force he grew, the Oechalian walls and Trojan overthrew. Besides 1,000 hazards they relate, procured by Julian and Eurystus' hate. Thy hands unconquered hero could subdue the cloud-born centaurs and the monsters' crew, nor thy resistless arms the bull withstood, nor the roaring terror of the wood. The triple porter of the Stygian seat, with lolling tongue lay fawning at thy feet, and seized with fear forgot his mangled meat. The infernal waters tremble at thy sight. The god no face of danger could affright, no huge Typhus nor the unnumbered snake, increased with hissing heads in Lerna's lake. Hail, Jove's undoubted son, an added grace to heaven and the great author of thy race. Receive the grateful offerings which we pay, and smile propitious on thy solemn day. In numbers thus they sung about the rest. The den and death of Cacus crowned the feast. The woods to hollow vales converted,